Hello, and welcome back to Business by the Books, the podcast that teaches you how to use your financials to better manage your business. Kelsey, welcome back to Business by the Books.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about specialized KPIs and what that means for small business owners. Let's start though with what is a key performance indicator and why does it even matter?
So there's many different types of KPIs, which as you mentioned is a key performance indicator. And they're really important for running your business and making sure that as you grow, you do so in a way that's healthy. Sometimes we think more top line revenue is best. However, when you actually get into the nitty gritty of the KPIs and look at your profitability and things like that, you see that maybe my business wasn't growing in the most healthy way. And if you're not tracking it on a regular basis, sometimes you don't know until it's really late in the game and it's depleted all of your cash.
High revenue does not mean high profit, and it does not mean high cash.
Exactly.
We've seen that over and over again. All right. So all of our clients right now, they all receive the snapshot. So every single one of our bookkeeping clients receives a monthly snapshot. We've recorded podcasts in the past going in detail of exactly what we look for in the snapshot, but give us a high level overview of what's in the snapshot. And then we can talk about why, as business owners grow, they might want a CFO specialized KPI snapshot.
Like I mentioned, there's many different types of KPIs, each of them falling into one of two major categories typically. One is going to be generalized KPIs, and then one is specialized KPIs. So with our snapshot, you're going to get more generalized KPIs. These are business-wide, company-wide key performance indicators about your business. So a lot of these are going to be gross revenue, cost of goods sold, percentage of cost of goods sold. Is that within a healthy percentage? Expenses, trends in expenses, percentage of total income when it comes to your expenses. Is this healthy? Profitability metrics. Those are going to be the more generalized KPIs that you'll receive on your snapshot. However, with our CFO services, you are going to get the specialized KPIs. So this is more detailed into the different sections of your financials. So these are detailed key performance indicators of your revenue. If you're a business that has multiple forms of revenue and different streams of income, you're going to want to have special metrics for each one of those streams. So what is my percentage of growth for each of my revenue streams? What is where all my money comes in? What percentage comes from revenue stream A, revenue stream B? What are the trends in each of the revenue streams? That is going to be an example of a more specialized KPI regarding the revenue section.
What I think I'm hearing overall is that the snapshot is, I've been calling it the CEO dashboard lately. And I like that because I think of, what are the very high level things that I need to know, right? Like as a CEO running Kickstart, what are the things that if I am not able to focus into the details, what are all the high level things, which is where I belong as the CEO, do I need to know about the business? And then if there's any areas that are trending in the wrong direction or doesn't feel right, I can then go and drill down into those areas with the bookkeeping team. It sounds to me like as we grow as business owners and we add on multiple revenue streams, maybe multiple locations, hiring and growing, that we need both, right? We still need the CEO dashboard. We still need that high level overview. Like that never goes away, right? Like every single one of our clients,
Yes.
even the CFOs, they get a CFO dashboard. That's that high level overview. But then the KPIs help us drill down into the areas so that we can get really focused on each particular area of the business.
That's right. And I think it's important to note that with our CFO services, the specialized KPIs that we put together are going to be very specific to you and to your business. So a lot of the times businesses will come to us with very specific pain points and areas of concern and areas that need focus. So our team puts together specialized KPIs. This is kind of where we start with those specific areas so that we can track what is the KPI today? What is the metrics today? What is our goal metric for this area? And then coming up with a strategic plan to get there. I think it's also important to note that specialized KPIs aren't always financial. Sometimes it has to do with cash or invoicing or customer retention. It's important to note it's not always financial. However, the effects tend to be financial. So we'll use the generalized KPIs to see where the areas of focus are and then go into the specialized KPIs so we can dive into which of those are affecting the generalized KPI that's maybe off track.
That's really interesting. So I want to clarify for everyone, financial meaning that it's not just from the income statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement, right? We're looking at your point of sale system or those other areas of the business, not just pulling from the income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement.
Exactly. So a lot of those specialized KPIs may be operational.
Now, I get asked all the time when I go and guest on other people's podcasts, what are the best KPIs to look at? And I'm always very reluctant to answer that question because you nailed it. Like, it's not fair for me to come on and say, hey, these are the KPIs you need to look at because who knows? What is your goal for your business right now? What industry are you in? What's important to you right now? So, can you maybe tell us about a client who has recently come through our CFO onboarding and has gone through our goal setting process, our budget process, where you and the CFO team have created specialized KPIs? What was the result of that for that business owner?
Yeah. So, like I mentioned before, a lot of the times businesses will come to us with specific areas of focus and just things already happening in their business. So, we have one in particular, which I absolutely love. And I'm just so thrilled to see I don't want to say turnaround because things weren't going bad, but it was feeling a little bit uncontrolled. So, she is head of an interior design business and staging, and they were growing so quickly.
So
The service
exciting.
that she provides is unmatched, especially in her area. And she was getting referrals left and right. And she didn't want to say no. She said it. She's like, I can't say no.
Of course. Of course. We know that. We know that problem.
Yes. And to service those jobs, she had to purchase a lot of inventory. And she said, I'm spending a lot of money. Some is coming back, but I can't really tell if more is going out than is coming in. And if the jobs don't keep coming in this fast, what do I do with all this inventory? I'm spending all this money. Like, it was just feeling a little bit uncontrolled. And she knew there was a problem and didn't know what to do to make sure that her growth was healthy, like I mentioned in the beginning. So, what we did is first, we need to make sure that her pricing is appropriate. So, we had her track, this is a strategy that we do often or an exercise, track 2 or 3 active jobs from start to finish, every single cost that goes into it. So, any special furniture or
Mhm.
accent pieces, furniture, fixture purchases, make sure you track that. Any random supplies, track that. Any contract labor that goes into transportation, setup, anything like that, make sure you track that. If you're just costing out a job, when you actually sit down and track it, you're incurring a lot of expenses that you really hadn't thought of when you just did an overarching view. However, when you really track every single cost that you incur, there's things that you didn't think about. Therefore, how could you incorporate that into your pricing? You probably
Well,
didn't.
most business owners aren't even thinking about what's going to cost them
Exactly.
when they do their pricing. It's kind of who else in my area is doing what? Let me price accordingly.
Exactly. And there's a lot of light bulb moments in our financial reviews where we go over the financials and especially in cost of goods sold, hey, what's in there? Oh, I didn't even realize I was paying for that, or I didn't think about that being associated with the client. So that's why having somebody with fresh eyes, independent from your business, and has that expertise is so important to have. You catch things so much faster. But anyway, back to the client. So we had her do that exercise and came up with a pricing, I don't want to say template, but just a little bit more structure to her pricing and things to think about. Profitability per service offering. So she knew which of her service offerings were most profitable when you consider all the costs that go into it. Sometimes clients are under the impression, just because it's not tracked, that your highest revenue service, your most expensive service is your most profitable. And that's not always the case.
Not
And it's
always the
important to
truth.
know
It's
when that's not true.
incredible. Mhm.
Yes. It's important to know when that's not true. So we did that. We assessed trends of her sales. We have a healthy percentage guide for her so that she can stay within that for her inventory purchases. So things are still going really well. She's adjusted her pricing. We're looking at her marketing, which she doesn't need much, but just kind of having, a contingency plan in case the referrals don't come through, and just make sure that we're incorporating any referral program into that so that it can sustain the growth that she's experiencing, because she's investing quite a bit in sustaining that growth.
Now, let's talk about when the specialized KPIs come into play. So, our clients who are working with us in the CFO capacity, they're going through a longer onboarding process than a bookkeeping client. It's very intentional. So, there's a bookkeeping component of this. So, our onboarding team is holding a traditional kickoff call where they're getting access to all the accounts, doing a setup in QuickBooks or a catch up, doing the tactical bookkeeping work. But then our CFO team comes and they get involved. So, what is that process that they're going through with the CFO team in order to even arrive at specialized KPIs.
It is quite a heavy lift, and that's okay. It does take time and energy to get your systems in a place that our team can get the information that we need so that you have the information that you need. And that's okay. We try to take a lot of that lift for you, but I mean, there is a little bit of a lift. So our onboarding process is first, we want to get to know as much about you, your business, and your goals. Because a lot of what we do surrounds what your goals are for the business and where your place in the business is and where you want it to be. So we have a series of meetings where we dive into your personal goals, how they relate to the business, over the business goals, not only long term, but also short term. A lot of the time, you have a loose plan for the year, like, oh, I need to hire 2 new team members, I need to expand my warehouse. You kind of have a general idea of what needs to happen to keep the business going. So we'll kind of dive into what the priorities are for this next year. And then we'll do a SWOT analysis. So this is an analysis of your company's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we guide you through this process because
This is
you
one of
may
my
not
favorite
always
things that we
know.
do for Kickstart. Every time we
Yes.
do this, it uncovers so much that as a business owner, you're so in the day to day without this process of stepping out and working on your business. There's so much that comes out of this that is so helpful.
It's so true. And it's something that you may not think to do on your own or prioritize to do on your own. But we're kind of that accountability partner to make sure that it gets done. And then we use all of that information, your goals, imminent goals, long term goals, kind of loose plan to get to long term, the SWOT analysis, all of that. And we create a budget. So we'll plan out the company's next 12 months by month. And we incorporate, like for the SWOT analysis, if there's any opportunities, making sure that anything new that needs to happen in this next year to take advantage of the opportunities that we identified in the SWOT analysis, that's included. Weaknesses to kind of close those gaps. What needs to happen in the business to close the weakness gaps? We make sure that that's incorporated in the budget. What can we keep doing to play into the strengths of the business that we identified in the SWOT analysis? We incorporate all of that into your budget and then we work through it. Sometimes it takes a little bit of refining, but once we nail down all the pieces and you have this beautiful budget, and then every time you receive your CFO snapshot from us, there'll be comparisons of how the business actually performed compared to your budget so that every single month during our CFO consulting calls, we're taking a look at that budget and seeing where the business is on track and off track. And then diving into what is making the business be off track in the areas that it is. And those are our focuses, is strategically getting the business back on track.
And this is a little bit different than our traditional budget process. I'm often asked, what's the difference between just a single budget versus actually having a CFO that is involved in your business month over month?
That's right. So with our traditional budgeting service, we plan out the next 12 months and then it kind of stops there. We do give you some comparison reporting so that you're able to see where the business is on track or off track, but there's no reforecasting. With our CFO services, if something changes drastically throughout the year where we need to update, refine the budget, we're able to do that. We're able to do reforecasts and do projections with our CFO services. As you may know, entrepreneurship is a journey full of ups and downs and things
Lots of
change
them.
all the time. And we want to make sure that what we're providing you is actually meaningful and still pertinent to your business. So as things change, we still want a very clear picture of how the year is projected to end. So we're able to update that budget every single month if we need to. We usually don't, but not every month, but as things happen.
On a regular basis.
Yeah.
I think there's something about having that next level of accountability for somebody to be able to see those specialized KPIs and the trends and the details of your business like that to help you be able to see things before we're going awry. And not every CFO client that comes to the business is a turnaround, like you were saying, or in high growth mode. Sometimes it's just about having the accountability. Like I love when we have clients who month after month after month, it's just consistency. We're not raising alarm bells. We're not raising a flag. It's not red. Like, okay, we had another great month. And the accountability to say we're still going in the right direction.
It's totally true. And the knowledge and security of knowing you're still heading in the right direction. It can be a role for us too. Depending on where your business is and what your needs are for the business, we're here to fill that in with our experience and our expertise. Whether it's just for tracking purposes, just so you have it. And so, if you have some goals for certain areas in the business and you just want someone to track that without it being you, that's where we come in. Or if you're in full crisis mode, hair on fire, we're here for that too.
Yes. All right, Kelsey. Well, thank you so much for coming on to talk about specialized KPIs.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you are a business owner who needs a money team, I invite you to go to kickstartaccountinginc.com or click the link in the show notes and come and book a discovery call. The Kickstart Accounting Inc. team and I are here to be a resource for you on your entrepreneurial journey. We want to take bookkeeping off of your plate and help arm you with the information you need to grow and thrive in your business. Don't wait, click the link below and let's get started.